Hey everyone, my name is Brecht Billiet, and welcome to the second chapter of my podcast. Today I will talk about how I started in the consultancy business. So I thought before that I quit my job because my boss told me my work sucked and he didn't actually really knew what was wrong. So yeah, that was not the kind of company I wanted to work for. So one of my colleagues told me like, why don't you start in consultancy? And I was like, what is consultancy? He said to me, like consultancy is this thing where you work for a company and that company just sells you towards another company, which is kind of nice for your boss because when you're sold for a year or so, he pretty much knows exactly how much he or she is gonna make uh, for you, no, on behalf of you. So the thing is, it's quite easy to get a job in consultancy. There's a lot of demand for good consultants, which also means there are some nice projects, very professional projects. So you get to know a lot of very decent professionals, decent developers, project manager, and so on. So, how did I got into this consultancy gig? I mean, I didn't have any experience in what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do back then was .NET, C sharp, and I've done C sharp at my college, so I knew it a little bit. But fun fact, never did my exam the first time. I never went to class, and I basically had to learn it by myself. So, anyways, I started learning .NET, so C sharp. I did it day and night, and I got a phone number from that colleague of mine that said maybe you should call that person. So I did, and they got me an interview, and he told me to suit up, and I was like, suit up? Who does that these days? But I tried, and I suited up. And the fun thing is, the people that I did an interview with, they actually liked the fact that I was wearing a suit, and they said like, okay, you do not have any experience in C sharp, but I can see you're motivated. You're motivated enough to like make a fool out of yourself and put on that suit, and we see that you have passion and you really want to move forward. So they gave me the job, and the first day I started at my job, they already gave me an interview at a Belgian railways company. Um, the interview was kind of hard. It took me 3 hours. So the interview, they really like they grilled me, and it was pretty nice because they said like, you're really junior in this. Why should we take you? But then they kept on asking, and they were like, what? You know things we didn't expect you to know. Um, I had 3 hours to prove myself that I was worthy, and that I would basically get the job done, and I would learn behind hours and so on. And that's more important than skill, because skill is something that you can learn. Um, Getting passionate about something is not something you generally learn. It's something that you have or you don't. And so they gave me a chance. And at my first day at the consultancy business, I got my first project, which was a contract of more than a year, I think. Um, and so they sold me to that company, and um, I I really struggled in the beginning. So they gave me an analysis in French. My French was really bad, and I just had to do this old neglected project, and I struggled. I was all by myself. I had to go to Brussels with the train every day, and it was super super uncomfortable. But it was kind of nice. Come to think of it, it was it was nice to get out of my comfort zone like that because I learned a lot, a lot of nice people, a lot of nice different approaches and views, and by doing a pretty decent job, actually, they moved me to another project, to a nice team where I learned a lot of other cool stuff. And I was basically doing ASP.NET in combination with JavaScript. And I started like getting this passion for JavaScript, and I found this plural site course online about creating single page applications. It was written by John Papa. Um, and I really learned a lot. It was about knockout. It was about all these things that later we called JavaScript fatigue. We learned, yeah, I learned a lot about that, and I started creating my own single page app framework, which is basically just a combination of different single page app libraries. And then my marriage fell apart. So my ex, she left me. Thank God, right now. But yeah, so it was hard for me to pay the bills. I rented a house and I was earning like 1,400 euros net, which is not that much. And I've created this application with all these technologies that I was able to like look how much money I spent on things I shouldn't spend money on, and it gave me it gave me something to really put my teeth in. It was my pet project. It was my demo project. I was after 6 months, I was giving training in these technologies because I was so excited, and there were some freelancers that joined me at my house, and even some of them paid me, which was crazy at the time. Um, and I started giving training to them about single page applications, and when I had to find another project, because my original boss didn't want to pay the plural site course because it was too much money, and then I went to another one that didn't want to pay it. I also had to find another project, and I showed my project like, this is what I made. Like, this is so cool. We really have this native mobile look and feel on the web, and they laughed at me, and they say it like, dude, this is nothing. This is never gonna happen. Like single page applications, it's not the technology of the future. And yeah, I wasn't really agreeing with that, but I still signed a contract with that specific client. And it was nice because again, I learned a lot of new people and a lot of new .NET approaches, and I was always the guy to do like JavaScript and CSS and stuff like that. And on the side, I think, yeah, I worked like 40 hours a week for my client and another 40 hours on my pet project because I didn't had a wife anyway. I was alone, and I was really in love with that technology, and I was pretty good at it actually. If I think about it right now, it really sucked. Like, it sucked a lot, but for the time then, it was a cool project. Yeah, I think it was the next chapter to my career, and as of this moment, till still till this moment, I still do those single page app application technologies, and I travel the world speaking on conferences and teaching people that technology. So I've gotten passion. I've gotten a lot of passion towards these JavaScript frameworks, towards programming, towards architecture, and so on. And I've gained a lot of experience because I had my pet project, and I spent like a full time job on it because I had time anyway. And I started with my first steps towards influencing people, because there were actually freelancers coming over to my house, paying me for like this super crappy presentation where I put a lot of effort in, but I didn't have any real experience there. So that was really nice. Yeah, I think it's also interesting to have like a view on a financial information about this, because this podcast is about helping people out and I want to be transparent in that. So at my first consultancy gig, I earned like 2,100 euros gross, which is like 1,400, 1,500 euros net. But I got a pretty decent Mercedes and a phone subscription, internet subscription, and so on. So that was pretty good. Since my boss was too cheap to pay a 600 a year euros a year subscription of Pluralsight, where I could teach myself at my own time, I decided to go to another company, another consultancy company, because that's the thing you need to know about consultancy companies. All the projects are in the same pool, right? You can start your own consultancy company, jump in that pool, and start selling people. You can make money out of that, but it's not my cup of tea. So I went to this other um, yeah company and told them like, okay, I'm interested and I know the kind of rate they could sell me from. So I negotiated my wage and I said like, okay, I want 2,400. And then they said, yeah, that's fine, but you will get less of a nicer car. So I didn't get a Mercedes C Class. I get something like, yeah, I don't even remember, because I didn't work there long enough to actually retrieve the car. Um, so I did got the plural side training there, and I got a little bit a little raise there, which was nice. But then when they sold me to their client, they took away my laptop, and they told me like, yeah, you got a laptop from the client, so you don't need your company laptop anymore. And I was like, you can sell me for about 400, 430 euros a day. You pay me a wage which will cost you 4k, something like that, including everything. And you're taking away my laptop. I wasn't really thrilled by that, and this pushed me in the next decision in my life, which was becoming a freelancer. If you're a consultant, if you work for a boss, it makes sense that you're not self-employed, that you work for a real company with real colleagues. But if you're a consultant, they will just sell you from one business to another business, and you don't have any connection with your boss anyway. Then you might as well get paid for it. And when I started as a freelance engineer, my gross wage went from 2,400 to like 9k. 9k is a pretty decent figure to start from as a self-employed person, and I didn't really have to do that much for it. See, I knew that my boss, he had a contract with the client, and if I would leave, then he would first have to break that contract. So his client would not be that happy. And yeah, he wouldn't earn anything on me anymore. So if I would freelance through that company for their client, they would still get a piece of the pie. So I think they took like 50 euros a day for not doing anything, which is close to like 1,000 euros a month that they still earned, and they didn't had to break the contract. And I was earning like 9,000 euros without VAT to to actually be a meteor engineer. I don't know how old I was. I think I was like 20 25, 26, something like that. I think 26. So that was pretty decent for me. And it kept getting up and up quite fast over the next few years. So this is a wrap for today. And in the next chapter, I will talk about how I moved from my freelance consultancy position towards a more expert architect position where I started using AngularJS. I hope you liked it. See you next time.